Take a little deep breath. Right, we're gonna go again. This time, since I'm here about cheating, I want move those muscles. Move. Let's go. Raise them, raise them, raise them. Very good. Thank you, Alyssa. Stay on your balls and your feet. Nice. Communication. Execute the pass well. Let's go. So my name is Schezelle Fleming. I am the head coach and founder of SEPOS Ruggers. SEPOS Ruggers is a school team that is now on its way to becoming a youth club for rugby. We basically deal with young people from the Southeast Port-of-Spain area. So most of the players right now are from Southeast, but we do have players who are from Mocarapo as well, and mostly the East Port-of-Spain, Daventille area. The purpose of SEPOS Ruggers is really about showing children from these areas about Black excellence through sport. So we try to encourage them to show up as their best selves. Rugby obviously is the sport that we play, and rugby is a great tool to show young people how they can be assertive, how they can be confident, how they can be respectful, how they can work as a team, but kind of showing them that just because they may go to school in a certain area or come from a certain area doesn't mean that they can't have that kind of experience, and using sport as a tool to show that. The goal of SEPOS Ruggers is to create an environment where these young people come to us and they can thrive and show up as their best selves. We really want to get them into healthy habits, not only when it comes to how they show up on the field and how they show up with their friends, but also how they fuel their bodies, how they eat, what they do when they train, what they do after they train, right? So something as simple as, something that we're working towards is being able to provide like just a little snack or something at the end of training to get them into the habit of knowing that once they're done training, they need to put something back into their bodies, whether it's a fruit, whether it's a sandwich, whether it's, just something very simple. It doesn't have to be too elaborate. It's just to get them to understand that once I'm done training, once I'm done exercising, once I've exerted all this energy, it's not my responsibility to make sure there's something going back in. We also try to encourage a lot of team bonding, which is what a lot of teams do, but not just in the traditional way. So this year what we have planned is we're going to have the boys doing what people will deem girl activities, and then the girls are going to do boy activities. But the point of that is just to kind of break those stereotypes of boys supposed to do this and girls supposed to do that, and just understand that it's about showing up as your best self and just doing whatever is put in front of you to the best of your ability. So we're very, very excited about those activities as well. Yeah. So a lot of student athletes are not aware of how they should eat. A lot of them, whether it be because of where they come from, like their home life, or what is available in the cafeteria, which is usually not always the best food, they don't understand that because of what is demanded of their body through school and then after school when they participate in sports, most of them are not aware of what they should be eating. They aren't aware that food can be used to fuel their bodies, and even more so, they aren't aware that food can be used to help their bodies recover from the activities that they would have been doing. I think particularly for student athletes, because of the stress that they have to undergo academically, as well as, dealing with their friends, you're going through puberty, right? There are changes happening depending on the environment of your school. You might be under a little extra stress, right? And then you leave there and you go and you exert your body physically. I think a lot of students are not aware that they need to keep eating, and the type of food that they eat is really important. A lot of them might take for granted because they're young, they could eat a whole bunch of whatever and that's fine. But when you're a student athlete in particular, and especially if you may have goals like making a national team or representing your country, after a while you realize that your diet actually plays a very, very, very critical role in how you perform, not only physically, but emotionally and academically as well.
My name is Zara, Suite-Stewart, and I am a registered dietitian based here in Trinidad and Tobago. I got into dietetics because as I was growing up, I began to understand the importance of nutrition and the fact that what you eat affects how your body works. As I got older as well, and as a youth athlete, I developed a passion and an interest for sports nutrition as well, as I began to understand that what foods you eat, how you hydrate can also affect your athletic performance. Proper nutrition is important to young athletes because they don't only have to meet the energy demands of their sport, but they also have to meet the energy demand of growth and development and also their daily activities. Young athletes are at an age when they depend a lot on their parents to provide food for them as well, and it's important, especially as they become adolescents or teenagers, that they develop an understanding for nutrition and an awareness of what to use to fuel their body properly. For young athletes, there are a few things in particular that we want to look at nutrition wise. So, one of the main things we want to focus on is hydration. So, here in Trinidad and Tobago, we live in a very hot and humid climate. This means that we tend to lose more water via sweat, and some of you may know that we also lose electrolytes in sweat as well. Younger athletes are also at a higher risk of dehydration because of their age. So we want to try to make sure that athletes hydrate well throughout the day first, so they meet their daily hydration needs, and then hydrate before, during, and after their training sessions. And the same also applies to competition as well. We want to ensure that athletes put in what they put out. So that's something that we call energy balance. So when their energy intake meets their energy expenditure. And there are risks of underfueling, especially for the young athletic population. So once again, we need to make sure that athletes meet their daily nutrition needs, just general, and then time their intake around their sports as well. So another thing we want to ensure is that we reduce the young athletes' risk of developing injuries, illnesses, and infections. And nutrition is one of the things that can influence this. So when athletes are not eating well, they're at higher risk of becoming ill, and this may lead to missed training days as well. When they're not having adequate protein or carbohydrates, their bodies may not be as strong as they can be, and this might increase their risk of injury. So things like stress fractures, sprains, and strains. So once again, we want to make sure that athletes are eating well, and by eating well, they should be able to attend all their training sessions because they wouldn't be missing it because of injury or illness, and that will increase an athlete's confidence level to compete in the sport. I think when people think about superfoods, they tend to think about more foreign food items. So they might think of things that you see online like goji berries and those kind of things. But actually, what we need to, the message that we need to send across is that a lot of our local foods are superfoods, and a lot of the foods that we use can definitely benefit the athlete population. So we live in the tropics, we live in the Caribbean. First of all, we're surrounded by water, so that means we have access to fish and seafood. And for athletes, protein is one of the key nutrients that we need. That's very important for muscle building, muscle repair, muscle recovery after exercise. For example, something like kingfish, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which can help reduce inflammation after exercise. Another thing that we might take for granted is our access to locally grown fruits and vegetables. So a lot of people think that the foreign fruits and vegetables are more superior or more nutritious. So they would tend to gravitate for things like grapes and apples and broccoli and cauliflower. And these are not superior in any way. Our local fruits and vegetables contain lots of vitamins and minerals, just like the foreign fruits and vegetables as well. So the key is to consume a wide variety of local seasonal fruits and vegetables. Our local ones are more accessible and more affordable as well. So a few things that we can consume more often as athletes. For example, something like the West Indian cherry. So it's very high in vitamin C, and it also has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, and that helps with recovery especially. Overall, the marketed as tart cherry juice, and they market this as a recovery product where we could just go in our neighbor's yard or even our yard and pick some cherries and we get the benefits of the cherry. Another local thing that's grown, especially in the east, like areas like Mayaro, is melon. And watermelon is not only hydrating, which is good for athletes, but it contains this compound. It's actually called L-citrulline, and that is something that increases the level of nitrates in your body. So there's been some research done in sports where nitrates can actually have an effect on performance. We can't forget as well our staples or our provisions. So ground provisions give us energy, and once again, as an athlete, you have higher energy requirements than the average person. And you may have heard about people like Usain Bolt and the Jamaican sprinters eating a lot of like dasheen and yam and cassava. And once again, we want to use those foods for us as well. Other things we have here are green leafy vegetables, and these contain a lot of B vitamins and vitamin C and vitamin E. So they're very rich in nutrients, and that would be things like callaloo bush, bhaji, and we want to try to include those regularly as well as athletes. As athletes get older, when they're younger, they usually rely on their parents or their guardian or whoever takes care of them. In some households, it might be a grandmother, it might be an aunt, to provide the meals. As they get older, you might notice they might be purchasing more meals outside of the home. They might be having meals at school from the school feeding program. But generally, as athletes get older, they're more influenced by their peers. So it's important to cultivate good eating habits so that things like disordered eating or underfueling don't arise, especially for the female adolescents athletes as well. They might be pressured to maintain a certain body image. So we really want to create a positive environment around healthy eating and not kind of convey it as dieting, but more as fueling for the sport.
Given the proximity of Charlotte Street to where many of our players live, it's the best place for them to come and buy their fruits and their veggies and their seasonings and all of the things that they need to fuel their bodies for training, but also to help them with recovery after a long day of training. So today we're going to buy some delicious veggies and some seasoning to prepare a nice veggie soup, and the players themselves will actually be showing me how and what they need to buy to prepare the soup.
Alright, so first things first, we had to start off with our bags. This is showing that everybody must have a market bag in the house, stick behind the fridge, in the cupboard, in the bag of bags. We must have a market bag, right? Hold this please. Thank you. My first thing I like to study is my carrots. Carrots is good for the sight, has vitamin A, has vitamin C. So here I'm getting a reasonable price for carrots, $5 a bag. Now when you're picking up your produce, you don't just randomly pick and throw in the bag like if it's a grab and go. You want to wait a little bit, look at the quality, make sure you're getting your money's worth. And when you find a bag that you like, then you choose, right? Alright. So right now, next to the carrots, we have garlic. Now, super tough flavor is not food. If your food don't have taste, what's the point of eating it? So I see in garlic here for $4 each. One, you think it's a good price? Yeah. It's a good price, we'll be taking it. And how are you selling the onions? $7 a pound. Think that's a good price?
Yellow onions is $5 a pound. You could go with the yellow ones.
Let's try the yellow. May I have a pound, please? Now, onions can be very tricky. Sometimes the skin will be loose, sometimes it will be a little soft, it might even have a funny shape. So when you're picking up, you want to make sure and get one with the skin on it, a decent size. When you want like 1 pound, now I'm not too familiar with pounds, because I'm not a scale, so. But the more you shop is the more you will get an idea of the weight of it. So to me, I think, I would like to believe this is close to a pound. One more? Not too big, not too small. Right.
You like them sweet potatoes?
Ooh, them provision looking good. Wait for.
The sweet provision. Yeah. Well, we just a few, like a little way from the first vendor, but we see some nice provision here. Some sweet potato, some eddos. So we wanted to give it a try. Okay, so around this time, sweet potato would be a little more expensive. So we will go for a cheaper option, like maybe dashino eddos. So we'll try this. You think this is a good fit?
Well, now when you're looking at the provision, you have to take a good look.
Oh,
So let's try a different one.
Try this one.
that's also.
That's also
Now provision is not perfect.
this one.
Let's see. This looks like a nice one. I also saw some corn in front if you want to try.
Yeah, we could add some corn.
Lovely. Corn looks good. Juan, what do you think?
Is what?
$20.
Yeah. How much?
$20.
But
What do you use for four?
It's 20.
Trying to dash it 6. I think.
Aye, can you add the sauce?
So you get pearly and thing. My sister. Oh.
Thank you. They put tomato in soup. You know? You could? I've never tried it before. I've never tried it before. Alright, so you're picking up potatoes. Now we're not picking these things at random. All these different ingredients that we're picking up is starches, carbs. I can't say so much protein, but in plants there are little amounts of protein. So when you're picking your potatoes now, right, a trick my grandmother always told me was don't get the potato too big because the center could be starting to hollow out or rot. So I try to get a medium size, try to measure with my hand and see if this can work for me. Excuse me. Okay, so now we need to balance off the meal. Each meal needs a source of protein, and since this is a veggie soup or a vegetarian soup, we would like to use, what would be a good idea? Chickpeas? Chickpeas could be good. I like your thinking. Let's go. Okay, so chickpeas, also known as chana, has the most protein compared to all the other peas that we sell locally. Unless you want to include soy, but we don't really use soy that much. So Trinidadians love chickpeas. You can use it for soup, use it for doubles, use it. You can boil chickpeas by itself with a little seasoning, and you're good. So our choice today is chickpeas, and this will be the protein of our meal.
Okay, so we are down to the last item, a leafy green vegetable, and we have the choice between bhaji and kalaloo bush. So which one would you all prefer to get?
I say bhaji.
Okay, so we have bhaji. We're going with bhaji. And believe you have thank you. Oh wow.
Buy from actually. Anything else you could say?
Alright, so now that we have all our ingredients, it's time to head to the kitchen and cook up a storm.
We outside.
Alright guys, so we came from Charlotte Street with all our lovely produce, our provisions, our seasonings, our bush. And I think we should get started on our soup. We have corn. Some people would say it's veggie soup. I would like to call it corn soup because it has corn in it. That will come like the main idea inside of the soup. So I would like to call it corn soup. So let's get started.
Okay.
So we now finish prepping our stuff. We now gonna make the soup. We starting by adding out some oil to the pot.
Which is already hot.
It's already hot. Then you saute the onions to 2 to 5 minutes.
Smell them onions. Well, you ever realize on a hot days when the parents want to cook a soup, on the hottest day of the year, the place steaming and they just say ways, but I could do it a corn soup today, boy. So you sweating, the pot sweating, everything sweating, and the sound they trying to slurp your soup. And you just the fanning working, the breezing blowing, the fanning working, you're feeling the fan, but the fanning working. It's like current gun. Wickedness in the Caribbean. But anyway. If I remember correctly, we're gonna add the ginger, pimento, shadow benny, and chickpeas, and the garlic. Which one do we add first?
Yeah, ginger. Pimento.
This is so that the roasting of the seasonings would bring out the flavor, and then when you add in the water for the broth of the soup, it will be the main flavor of the soup. Especially with the onions and the garlic.
Plenty seasoning.
The might just scrape them.
It does smell good.
So delicious.
Don't forget the chickpeas. The Caribbean knock.
Yeah. If they don't knock it, they don't have any flavor.
So we're gonna let this simmer for 5 to 8 minutes until the pumpkin melt down.
Okay,
I said an outside of any group.
No,
I said an outside of any group. That is going to be bad.
your negativity not needed.
Flavor.
Okay, what's next?
So now we're gonna add
Baji.
some baji.
The boy forget the bushes. The corn. That's adding the corn.
So now we're gonna add some corn to the pot.
Careful.
So delicious. Thank you.
Careful with the
Please
bowl.
don't drop the bowl. Add more salt.
And add a little bit more salt. Delicious. So the corn does take the longest to cook. So we go like cook a little bit until before we add the carrots and provision.
For about 15 minutes.
Yeah, about 15 minutes. So after 25 minutes of letting the corn boil and get softened, we're going to add some coconut milk to the pot.
Nice. So what we doing next?
We're going to add in some dashing to the pot.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna leave that for like
5 minutes sounds good.
A 5 minute startup. Let's start.
No, just make sure it's submerged. It will cook.
Okay.
Alright, so I think it's time to add in the potatoes.
Alicia gently.
We ain't fighting, we stirring. Come on. We'll leave it for 5 minutes.
And then
Of it. Down.
your food. So after 5 minutes of letting your potato cook a little bit, we can add some carrots and a hot pepper for some taste.
What's the thing?
Extra doubles because of the spicy.
Alright, so from the looks of it, our soup is finished. It's time to turn off the stove, add a little fresh seasoning to taste, and take out the hot pepper because everybody likes pepper, but not too much.
It's the garnish.
It's so garnish, I like that one. Look at this soup, amazing, perfect consistency, lovely color, and full of nutrients and vitamins.
Not too thick.
Not too thin. Wow. Wow. Packed with flavor, nutrients, and what was the budget for this? $100?
Yep.
Wow.
And we still have stuff left over.
Like potato,
Bhaji.
onions,
Yeah.
Pimento.
and shadow benny. Nice. So when you watch your wallet and you see there's only $100 remaining, don't frown. Look down Charlotte Street and see what you can get. Because we made corn soup.
I can still get back change. Yeah.
All right. So let me taste what they made here. If it tastes bad, who to blame?
Bolicia.
Could you use all it for fundraising? Alright, okay. Yeah. So the great thing about a meal like this for student athletes is it's easy to prepare, it's not heavy on the pockets, and it's able to give them the carbs, the vegetables that they need, not only to fuel their bodies before training session, let's say during lunchtime or in the morning. This is a great meal in the morning, but also after training session. You want to have something like this to put the things that you would have lost back into your body so you can perform again and get some good rest. It's very easy to support this team. We always need water. We have a lot of athletes who go above and beyond and they make national teams. So we really try to encourage them by giving them a little incentive because they do the work and we just like to reward them. Whether it was little tokens, things that they might need, boots. We always need boots because these children just run these boots to the ground. And we could only do so much. We're able to provide like a sneaker here or there, but for the most part, it's not, if they don't show up, it's not because they don't want to. Most of the times they just don't have the tools that they need. Right now we're working towards getting training uniforms as well to have us a little bit of uniformity on the field when we train. Usually because they love the t-shirts so much because it's so awesome. They come to training in their competition clothes, right? But it's something that we like to work towards as well. And honestly, equipment. We need a lot of equipment. Right now we have cones and balls, but balls are expensive and cones go missing. So it's just really kind of ensuring that we have the tools to execute whatever it is we're doing on the field so that when they go out there and they represent Southeast or SEPOS or their families or Mova Lavantil or wherever they're from, they feel like we've done our part here so they can go out there and do what they need to do. If you'd like to support the team, you can go to our Instagram page. All of our information is there, including our email address, seposruggerstt@gmail.com. You can send us a DM and our manager or I will get back to you. And I would be happy to engage in conversation on how you could support this team.